welcome to Bollox Talks and Tangents. I forgot to shut the door, so I'm going to get in trouble for that. I'm tardy. I'm tardy on this show. I don't know what's going on here. I realized I did not pour my whiskey of the drink of the day, and we're doing a single barrel. Four Roses.
Yep. So, I'm very impressed by that. It's become a classy liquor.
Have you had the single barrel before?
I have, as a matter of fact. I've gotten it as a gift, and I've bought another one.
Okay. Did you have it here?
No. Here with us?
Yeah.
No, we have not done
Thank you, Blake, for closing the door.
I
you
don't
heard
know
that slam. That was angry son to dad. So, So welcome in, guys. I appreciate you guys sharing the show and showing up at 6:34 on Thursday with us every week. Man, Lenny, you wrote down a lot of notes.
This is a fun one for me.
Yeah, you wrote down a lot of notes.
Indiana Joneses.
All right, and today we're talking about tombs that are missing.
Yep.
I went in the other direction. I went on more like famous tombstones and stories that are actually out there that you can go visit. You went more the Indiana Jones route.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure people are going to really go and try and find those.
We find them, we'll be famous.
Yeah. Well, or at least infamous. So,
okay.
But did you share the show, Lenny?
I did.
You have? Wow.
I did. I'm getting good. My sound is off. My ringer is off.
Yeah, I haven't tested our fire water yet.
Ooh, well, cheers to you, my handsome friend.
All right. I didn't have ice. I like it chilled.
It's cool.
It's still good.
It's cool.
Still good. All right. So we got an amazing show for you. I have people that you can go see. Lenny has people you got to go find. We have some great word origins. I have one that completely blew my mind. I thought I knew 100% what it was, and I was 200% wrong. So excited to get through this and find out what you found out. You get to find out what I found out, and it should just be a wonderful, wonderful day. But first thing we got to do, we got to talk about our incredible sponsors. Going to start at the bottom this time, but definitely not at the bottom of anyone else's list. This is Anastasia Mini Golf right there on Anastasia Boulevard. They do an amazing job. It's the little ship across from Gypsy Cab there. Mm-hmm. They have beer and wine. They have soft serve ice cream. Just a wonderful night out with the family. Go by and see Anastasia Mini Golf. Anybody looking to play putt-putt, this is the place to go.
I'm going to be taking my niece and nephew next week.
Excellent. All right. These guys, I don't know if you've heard of them. Coquina Coast Realty.
I have.
They do commercial. They do rental properties. They do residential properties. They
Office
do
relocation?
I've talked about that too much today already. I've talked on two shows on it.
Fair enough.
We're not doing the third show of Troy being on First Coast News. You want to find out, go to First Coast News. All right. But Coquina Coast, that's the real estate company that I have. I appreciate anybody who's looking to buy or sell, or you want to reference them to somebody, somebody who's coming into town who's looking for a property. Have them give me a call, 904-669-7901. All right. Kaiser's Deli and Market. All right, we usually hit it once a week. We did not get there this week because we just got back into town.
That's why God invented tomorrow.
Oh, thank goodness there's tomorrow.
There definitely
the sun
is
will come out tomorrow. What'd you say?
There definitely is a tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Kaiser's Deli and Market, try the Bollox. I suggest if you do the Bollox, do it pressed.
Absolutely.
It's so good. It's a great sandwich.
And keep in mind, it's the best pastrami in St. Augustine. I stand by that.
Yeah. So... you know what I'm going to have him do? I'm going to have him do the Bollox and have him throw a little pastrami on top.
There you go. I like
pastrami with the turkey.
See, now that's a nice thing because the turkey kind of will absorb all the pastrami magic, and the turkey will bring some of the salt out of the pastrami into the turkey, which is kind of it's a little vanilla, it's a little neutral, it's turkey.
Yeah.
It's
turkey.
It's turkey.
Yeah. So,
but man, you spice it up with the pastrami. Now we're talking.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. I think we got a new sandwich.
I think I'm going to do the Bollox with a wrap of pastrami.
Okay, I'm liking that.
What do you think?
I think we might have to work that through a little bit.
Kaiser, if you're listening,
Kurt, we're coming in.
Kurt, you know what we're going after. Mm-hmm. All right, but best deli in town. Yeah. Hands down. They have a great market, a lot of local vendors in the market. They have amazing selection of beer. and wine.
Great.
Comfortable, great atmosphere, and the owner's okay too.
Right. And it's time to vote for Kaiser's Deli and Market for your sub shop sandwich shop in the best of St. Augustine, because it is the best of St. Augustine.
It really, really is. Always has my vote. All right. I can tell you right now, as far as a great museum and my favorite museum in town, it's St. Augustine Pirate Museum. The crew over there does an incredible job. They take their job seriously. They have 800 original artifacts. They have the Bull and Crown restaurant. They have the Taberna Bar. They have the Colonial Oak. And I can't imagine them not being downtown in this. I mean, I don't know what we would do as a city if they weren't there. So Cindy and the Croce family and everybody who was involved in it, we appreciate you guys being here. But get over there. If you haven't been there, you need to take the family and go see them.
And I'm going to talk about a dead pirate today.
You are?
I am.
All right. I saw that. A privateer.
Okay, right, exactly.
Hebert Kresge and Associates,
Potato.
they are the best CPAs in town. These guys keep me out of trouble year after year after year, month after month after month. Give Billy a call over there at Hebert Kresge Associates and tell him that you heard it on Bollox and Troy sent you. So, all right, you want to take this Meehan's place? Meehan's?
I will go there anytime I can. Julie and I were there for dinner on Monday. We saw our very good friend Caleb, who was bartending and working tables, and it was just good. You know, Julie had the fish and chips. It was as big as her head. We finished with the key lime pie, which is, I still say, one of the best key lime pies I've ever had, and the presentation on that is just clever. And Caleb made me, now I'm not much of an Irish whiskey drinker. You know, I'm a whiskey drinker, Scotch, bourbon. I don't broker into the Irish whiskeys too terribly much, even though Meehan's does have the largest selection of Irish whiskey in, I don't know, 55 counties or however 50.
67.
Yeah. But I had Jameson makes a Jameson cold brew, it's called. Mm-hmm. They mix some coffee into the Jameson Irish whiskey. And I had Caleb make me Jameson cold brew, Kahlua, and he hit it with a splash of heavy cream, shook that up and put it in a martini glass. Oh, my goodness. It was fabulous.
See, I don't like the coffee, but I'm interested in doing the Jameson cold brew just with the cream.
Okay.
What do you think that would be?
I think it'll be fine. You know what? You're a Jameson drinker, so try it straight first before you start mixing stuff into it.
Okay.
It's a little lower in proof because the coffee dilutes the whiskey a little bit, but it is tasty.
So the Jameson has a coffee taste. The Jameson cold brew has a coffee taste to it.
Yeah. It's got coffee mixed into it. That's the cold brew.
I'm probably going to pass.
All right, fine.
Yeah, I'm not a coffee guy.
More for me.
Yeah,
I know. It's all right.
No, I'm just not a coffee guy.
That's all right. You're allowed to have your own tastes and opinions for sure.
Just not.
It's America. Damn it! I read that someplace.
Yeah. So and everyone I grew up around loved coffee. But I just never was a coffee person.
See, I never drank coffee as a kid, and then I got older. I started drinking espresso. I still rarely will drink a cup of coffee, but I like iced coffee. Hot coffee, unless it's an espresso, I don't do hot coffee.
Yeah. I would try my grandmother's iced coffee when I was young just because I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, and she had a lot of sugar in it and cream in it and stuff like that. So it wasn't terrible, but...
Your grandmother was like my grandmother. There was always a pitcher of iced coffee in the refrigerator when my grandmother was living with us in the summers.
So, it was, I got an elevator down. Somebody just texted me and said that they're at the building.
That's why God invented stairs.
Yeah.
and
it's a cigar. It's only 4 stories.
And cardiac arrest.
It's only 4 stories. You can do it.
What about Sponsor Row?
We got to talk about St. Augustine Distillery. If you don't mind talking about St. Augustine Distillery.
I will. You fix the elevator. I'll talk about Citygate Spirits, which is on Sponsor Row, right on the bayfront. Great tours, great tastings, great selection of flavors. You know, they take your base whiskey and they'll add flavors to it. We did cookie dough a couple of weeks ago. I'm a big fan of the peach. Not a big fan of the creamsicle because that's just, I could never eat a creamsicle as a kid. But they've got a smoked maple whiskey, which is fabulous. They've got some moonshine. Their moonshine is really good. It's a little higher in proof than the flavored spirits, and it's nice. They've got a pineapple moonshine. The flavors are great, and the tour. It's a free tour. And, you know, they keep changing it up. Sometimes you'll get nine samples of flavored product and stuff. The prices are very, very fair.
Yes, super fair.
Yep. And then we go to the big boy, the St. Augustine Distillery.
Yeah.
Man, they make some damn good whiskey. They really do. They're bourbon. You'd think you're in Kentucky.
Yeah, people question whether or not you could get good bourbon outside of Kentucky, and St. Augustine Distillery proves that you can.
Very good. And they're doing bourbon classes too.
Yep.
If you got an interest in learning more about bourbon or mixology, they do, along with their tours, they're free tours, but they do some 4-pay classes that are very hands-on and in-depth about bourbon, making bourbon and bourbon cocktails. And then they do a couple of mixology classes. It's a great place to spend some time. It really, nice people.
Yeah.
And some interesting stuff in the gift shop too.
They're wonderful. They have a great gift shop. And great products, great. I mean, it's done very classy. Really appreciate them. They've been a sponsor with us for a long, long time. Our sponsors are phenomenal. If you go see any of our sponsors, please let them know you heard about it on Bollox, so they go, all right, we're spending our money in the right
exactly.
place. So let's get into it.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm good.
I'll let you do word origin first.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people are going to think what you and I thought. My word origin was.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
my word origin was.
Yeah. I think, look, we've done a lot of word origins that have, 2 distinct meanings.
Yeah.
So, well, my first one is has anybody ever been led down a primrose path before? Which is interesting because it also may not have the connotation that you expect when you're being led down the primrose path.
Yeah, I have.
And it's
I've been married before.
Okay, well, that is it. And it's, it comes a lot of different places. It was originally in the Bible, but the one that I'm citing is, don't forget Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Who's
that guy?
Yeah. In Hamlet, Ophelia is talking to her brother Laertes. This was in 1602 when Shakespeare wrote this. And it's a long quote, but it's Ophelia talking to Laertes in Hamlet. Do not as some ungracious pastors do. Show me the steep and stormy way to heaven. Well, like a puffed and reckless libertine himself, the primrose path of dallying treads and wrecks his own reedy. And I had to look up what reedy, R-E-D-E, is his own advice.
Okay.
So it's basically, this quote is saying, the pastor is going to say, do as I say, not as I do, and tell you that the road to heaven is difficult and stormy, and you need to suffer and struggle to get there. Whereas going down the primrose path is everything is delightful and delicious,
yes.
But it always ends in ruin. So it's the easiest or the hedonist way. So as they libertine himself, as the pastor treats himself well.
What?
Libertine, yeah.
Libertine.
Yeah, a libertine.
Which one is it?
A libertine is like Don Juan is a libertine.
Okay.
A hedonist.
A hedonist.
A hedonist.
Oh.
Yeah, that kind of libertine.
Oh, Troy.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Look in the mirror.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
So.
So I resemble that libertine.
Yes, you resemble that remark.
Okay.
As you go down the primrose path, you're taking the easy way. You're taking the attractive way, but it seems at the end of it, it only leaves you in rack and ruin. So Shakespeare was having Ophelia warn Laertes not to pay attention to the pastors that are going to just tell you one thing and do something completely different for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the primrose path leads to disaster. Leading to disaster.
So,
but it's a fun ride to get there, apparently.
It doesn't sound horrible. All right, so mine, I thought I knew. I was 100% confident, but I was like, let me look it up anyway. Because what we're doing has to do with graves and interesting stories about graves. So I looked up dead ringer. It has nothing to do with what I've said for years it had everything to do with.
And there was no citation toward that effect?
No.
Interesting.
No, and I left it up. So, and it's, I'm going to let you read it.
Because I've actually seen...
As I explained what I thought it was and what it actually is. And it's a dead ringer. And I thought a dead ringer had to do with people... They discovered that people were getting buried alive because of comas and different things like that. And they couldn't... Technology isn't what it was today. So people were getting buried. And about 2% of the people they exhumed showed activity within their coffin, like claw marks, trying to get out and those things. So they put a bell, which they actually did, they would hang a bell with a string
Right. I've seen diagrams
coffin,
of that.
into the coffin.
Yeah.
And I always thought that you were a dead ringer if you were awoken by that bell and dug up and saved.
Saved by the bell.
You were saved by the bell. Saved by the bell is that and the boxing term.
Right. We did. We've done that before.
We've done
too. Yes,
saved by the bell, so it's both of those. But a dead ringer is a horse racing term.
Oh, so this is where the context of a ringer comes in.
Okay.
Okay.
And what it was is the term dead means exact.
Right.
Okay.
Identical.
Yeah. And ringer is same. Okay. And then it changed into, if you're a ringer, that means you're better than.
Right.
And what it was is in the old days,
You're a hustler.
They would do horses. There would be two horses that looked alike. All right. And they would have this horse that's a little bit slower, and they'd race that horse before. And they race that horse before. And then they'd bring in the dead ringer that looks exactly like the other horse.
Swap them out.
That just blows away the competition. And that's what a dead ringer was. It had everything to do. I was like, I've been telling people this story for so long that I believed it myself without any backup. And I think a lot of other people have probably passed it along. I'm sure I heard it from someone else.
Hey, I used to tell it on my ghost stories, and I'm sticking with that because I have seen, drawings and diagrams of the apparatus.
Yeah.
And it would be, there'd be a hole in the top of the coffin with a string, and it would come up, and then there'd be like a.
Well, the Saved by the Bell,
hook.
the Saved by the Bell is correct with that one, but
So
the
it's
dead
just
ringer, it doesn't have an association to it.
Interesting.
And I completely believed.
Well, I guess if you're dead, you're not ringing.
Yeah, you're dead, you're not ringing.
Okay.
Good point.
All right.
Good point.
All right. I like that.
So
Okay.
So it really blew me away.
So did the concept of a ringer that we know, like you're playing softball and you bring in a ringer, you got a team sport.
It's a guy who looks like somebody else or plays.
So did that come out of the
plays
dead
under
ringer
the
from
name-
horses?
Yeah, it came out of the horses.
So this is where it came first, because
he's a ringer.
right. When you got a team of
she's a ringer.
15-year-olds and there's one of them is 6'6".
Yeah.
And a
He's
full
a ringer.
beard and mustache.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're usually playing under an alias name.
Right. Exactly.
So they're playing as somebody else.
Like in the Little League World Series,
With
the kid
left-handed
who's
guy,
17, right? The kid who's 17 with a 13-year-old's birth certificate.
Something O'Do. What was his name?
Oh,
You remember that baseball player's name, Little League World Series? He was like 14 years old.
Big Al or
Bobby Adu.
who?
No, that sounds like the soccer player.
Was that the soccer player?
That's a soccer player.
Oh, gosh.
Little League World Series player, recent one or
It was probably 10,
10
15
years
years
ago?
ago.
Yeah.
But he was...
There's questions of
But
his
he was a
birth
left-handed-
certificate.
Oh, I know which one you're talking
It was a
about.
left-handed, light-skinned black man.
Yep.
Now he's a man. He was a kid
Right.
at the time.
He wasn't much of a kid then either, apparently.
Yeah. But see if you can find his name. But because that's going to bother me the whole time.
Danny Almonte.
Danny Amante. Oh, I wasn't even close. Bobby, the Adu is the soccer player that was a really young kid. You're right. So,
Yeah.
all right, but we got mysteries of gravestones, and I have the lighter side. I'm going to do like the body blows, and you're going to hit.
I'm
with
hitting the
you're gonna
architectural
hit 'em with
hunts,
the big,
baby.
Big punches.
We find any of these, we are going to Schaefer City, my friend.
What's Schaefer City?
Oh my God, you are young.
What is Schaefer?
Schaefer was a beer.
Yeah, I know what
And
Schaefer is.
Well, when you were drinking Schaefer, you were in Schaefer City.
Oh, that's totally a northern thing.
Oh yeah.
Because we barely had Schaefer down here. I know what it looks like. It's like in a golden brownish.
It's got a little
red
seal on it. Right, exactly. Golden red. When I worked in Puerto Rico, because the Virgin Islands were a ferry ride away. Where I was in Puerto Rico, the sizing on all the beer bottles and beer cans were different. So there were 10-ounce cans instead of 12-ounce cans, and it was great. So I would have to go from where I was on the Caribbean side up to the Atlantic side to do the marketing for the restaurant I was working at. And I would stop and, all right, there were no stoplights. There was no traffic.
Yeah.
I'd stop in a little pueblo, a little village on the way across the hill from the south side of Vieques to the north side of Vieques. And I'd get, for $1, 2 cans of Schaefer.
Okay.
And I'd continue on my little merry
So
way.
you would travel to Schaefer City on your travels.
Exactly.
Okay. All
And
right.
Schaefer was a not a bad beer. Still, it's,
I think it's still an active beer.
I know it's hard to find though.
I'm not a beer drinker either. I'm not a beer drinker or a coffee drinker.
I had my first beer in ages last week at a friend's house on game night. I got very good at giant Jenga. I will say that.
Okay.
Actually, it was medium-sized Jenga. I think there was a larger size and a smaller size, so we were medium-sized Jenga. Anyway, it was Jenga. All right.
So on your way to Schaefer City.
Yep. Pick a dead person, any dead person of notoriety that we don't know where they're buried, but we want to find them.
All right, let's start with the pirate because we're only going
All
to
right.
get to like 3 on your.
Okay,
90,
and this is interesting, and this
on
ties
your
into
90, on your 97 list that you have.
This is
All right,
interesting because it ties in a little bit to us here.
All right, but here's a question that I have out there, and I want to ask this question because I've already asked people in the audience out there. What would be? You get one line. On your gravestone. All right, I'm going to be cremated. So in Blake and Rebecca and
So
Maeve
the
and
plaque
Ty,
on your urn.
Yeah. So what would be the line?
I'm probably going to go.
Or what line do you want? You think Blake's going to put it on there, or Rebecca, or somebody else is going to put it on there. So I don't really have a choice.
Right. Well, you could put it in your will and demand they obey that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I want them to believe it.
Okay.
What line would you like them to put on your?
It's either never stop tilting at windmills, or speaking from a soapbox, or I can go with my quote from my high school yearbook, which was taken from Peter Pan. Conceited, not me. It's just that I am what I am, and I'm me. Mm-hmm. So
You're Peter Pan.
I'm not as young as I used to was, but I could be childlike.
You are very childlike.
And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and I think Julie would back that up.
Yes. Hey, I believe in wonder. I believe in awe and wonder.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's awesome. Blake, do you have something that right now, it's still early in your life. Do you have something on there, would it be Steeler fan, Reds fan? Nothing. I mean,
No, I won't go like for some like tacky talk about like other stuff. Like so I might go like, he was all right.
he's all right. He's all right.
Ite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you spell ite?
So, and the only thing I really care about is being a good dad. So all I care about is, maybe good guy, good dad. Good dad. Good
works.
dad has to be on there. Okay. The other stuff can follow. And when I stop being a good dad, then Blake, you can put something else on there. So
yeah, I don't think he's worried too much about that.
yeah. So
all right. So Francis Drake, as I call him,
Sir Francis Drake.
Yeah, wasn't he stripping the Queen for a while?
He might have had
dalliance,
some private meetings.
Okay.
But it was never confirmed.
Yeah, he did very well for himself by that Queen, I will say, or she did very well for herself with him. She took a big freaking cut, by the way. She was no.
Oh no, she made money.
She was doing good.
She made money on him, and he made a lot of money for her. I don't know. You ever read Atlas Shrugged?
No.
You never read Atlas Shrugged?
Too many words.
It's only like 1,200 pages.
Exactly.
But I mean, the pirate in Atlas Shrugged is the one who financed a lot of the stuff at Galt's Gulch.
Okay.
So, and his name was Francisco. So,
draw the dotted lines.
When we talk about Sir Francis Drake, I think of did they take that from there? So, I don't know if there was a connection. If that's what Ein
was an intellectual.
Yeah, she was brilliant.
So he dies in 1596 in Panama.
Okay.
And his sailors honor him by putting him in his suit of armor, putting him in that suit of armor in a lead casket.
Okay.
And they bury him at sea 14 miles off the coast of Portobello, Panama.
Okay.
Which is just to the right of the canal.
Is that where the mushrooms come from?
Ooh, maybe. Probably not, but maybe.
Rabbit hole.
Okay. So it's just either, depending on how Panama's laid out, I guess it's just either east or south because it's right on one of those humps on the isthmus.
The isthmus.
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 Yes, Isthmus.
Isthmus.
Yes,
Isthmus.
that's when you get Christmas presents. You get
Yeah.
presents for Isthmus.
Isthmus.
And they bury him 14 miles at sea. And people have been looking for him for years and years and years. Well, our friend Pat Croce.
Probably covered up, right?
Well, there was a bit of enthusiasm in 2011
Okay.
because famed treasure hunter and explorer Pat Croce,
Great dude.
of Miami, and by extension here,
Key West.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, exactly. They found 2 of his ships.
Okay.
And they got very excited because they figured if his ships were around there, the wreck of a couple of ships, they were going to find some of his treasure. And they went looking with magnometers and anything they could to try to find his lead coffin.
Okay.
They didn't.
Never found it.
So he's still there in Davy Jones' locker.
Okay.
So that's Francis Drake, and it was kind of interesting.
So should I call
saying,
up Michael at my next vacation and say, "Hey, Michael's Pat's son,"
Okay,
and say, "Hey, let's go look for him again."
I'm in.
Okay.
I'll cook.
All right. I'll bring the chef.
There you go. Exactly. We'll eat.
I bring no value. I don't know how to look for
We'll eat well.
a pirate ship or anything like that. I can feel good about it and say,
Yeah.
I think it's over here.
I think that.
And I don't think there's any more science to it than that.
No, because and who knows how the coast
We're
may have
talking
changed
450
exactly,
years ago.
Exactly.
So-
The coast may have changed. Maps may have changed. Portobello may have been.
When was he
expanded.
in St. Augustine? In 1580s?
It was around then because they just had the anniversary of Drake's raid last weekend.
Okay.
But it didn't happen. But the real raid was in June,
Okay.
I believe.
Blake, can you look up Drake's raid of St. Augustine, what year that took place, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Where he showed up with like 2,000 people, and there were, I don't know, maybe, I don't think there were 1,500 people in St. Augustine at the time. It might have been 3,000.
Let's see.
Might have been more than
Francis Drake's raid on St. Augustine took place May 27th to the 9th. May 27th to 29th, 1586.
86. I thought it 1580s. Okay.
Okay.
would-
Why did I think that it was in June or July when I just read about it? Because
Hey, so we're nearing the anniversary
he
now.
might have come back. Well, they did the
what was it,
reenactment
May
last
what?
weekend.
May 20th?
May 27th through the 29th.
So, we're coming up on it. So it's next week.
Yeah,
A
but
week
they
and a
did the
half
reenactment last weekend, strangely. Yeah,
Oh, I guess they don't want to mess with Memorial Day.
could be. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, so it'll be a challenge. All right, so I went a different route, and I have a couple of interesting ones out here. And Blake, I don't know what you were able to pull up. Do you have the monument of Jackie Gleason?
Jackie Gleason pulling up right now.
Humana.
All right. So the monument of Jackie Gleason, and I went to like some ones that I was like, okay, these could be fairly interesting. Rodney Dangerfield, I would have thought he had on there, I get no respect
Right.
on his tombstone. Instead, he writes, he has them write, there goes the neighborhood. I think that's brilliant.
Yep.
It's brilliant. It's his last jab at everybody. There goes the neighborhood. All right. So Jackie Gleason had so many different quotes. A very quotable comedian and guy. I wish he'd have went with a tick turd from Smokey and the Bandit. All right. But he didn't go with that one. And I'm trying to find, oh, it's over here. I got my notes spread out everywhere. So I'm trying to find exactly where it's at, and that's not it either. So
I have one of the quotes that he said on the tombstone on the screen in front of you.
yeah, and Blake beat me to it. It's a brilliant monument. So if you can zoom out of that one, Blake, but he went with "And Away We Go," which is perfect
Makes
for
perfect
Tombstone
sense,
too.
yeah.
But his monument is stunning, absolutely stunning for the honeymooner. Now, when I think of Jackie Gleason, I think of the honeymooners, all right? And I think of Smokey and the Bandit. One of the things that Jackie Gleason did that I couldn't believe he did is, the Flintstones were a spinoff of the honeymooners. He started a lawsuit against the Flintstones. And he pulled it back because the Flintstones got so popular so fast. He thought if he stopped the show, it would ruin his image, which it may have.
Right.
but he was gonna sue and started and had an attorney and had already filed for a lawsuit against the Flintstones for the Honeymooners.
You know, it's funny. I'm a little older than you are, so I remember the Jackie Gleason show. Well,
Yeah, you are a little.
just
a
a decade.
A week, a week or two.
Just a decade. But I remember the Jackie Gleason show featuring the June Taylor Dancers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
So, but
That was when variety shows were on TV.
so here's one that we already talked about this one that I found interesting, and I had no idea of where the connection came from. So Charles Lindbergh, all right, Charles Lindbergh. When I looked up where he was buried, it shocked me, and I had no idea. He's buried in Maui, Hawaii. It's actually on the island of Maui. It's Hana, Hawaii.
On the road to Hana.
Yeah.
There you go.
And his inscription is, "If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea." And it sits behind the Pala Pala Oma Church. It's the first place on the island to see the sunrise each morning. So where he's buried, and it's a flat tombstone with rocks all around it. It's very decorative with some beautiful landscaping around it. But
Very Polynesian.
you know, he passed and was buried there before it was a state.
Interesting. Okay. There's a lot of new stuff coming out now. Well, first of all, it's not revisionist history, but it's history in the fact that he was not such a great guy, in his own life and in his politics. But independent of that, there's a lot of awful stuff coming out now that Bruno Hauptmann was railroaded. They've done tests on the wood that he allegedly made the ladder out of, and it wasn't in a shot. There's all sorts of, and it's like we live in a land of conspiracy theories.
That's a conspiracy
but
theory.
There's a lot of stuff coming out now that Bruno was railroaded.
What you got, Blake?
Wait, hold on. So what'd you say about Charles Lindbergh dying in Hawaii, or?
That's where he's buried.
It was buried in Hawaii.
Okay, and then did you say that was before that was before Hawaii became a state, or
did he die after 59?
He died in 72.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Actually 74.
He was old.
He was old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was born.
So it was well estate. I'm sorry. Thank you, Blake, for that.
So
fact checking.
Fact checking, exactly.
Yeah,
That's why we have him.
So Lindbergh was born February 4th, 1902. He died August 26th, 1974. So he was 72.
So
he wasn't even that old.
He lived in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, except for mine.
Not yours.
Well.
Yeah.
But
what we listed so far has lived in your lifetime.
But this stuff about Bruno Hauptmann just came out. Maybe I just read it recently because I thought it just happened recently. But anyway, okay. I want to do.
No, his ladder gave him away.
Right, but apparently, the wood was weird.
That's why it gave him away, because it was so unique.
Right, but they're saying that it wasn't the wood from his shop now. So I don't know.
Oh, I think that's.
Well, I'll look into that. I'll look into that during the week and see what happens.
But so I just found it strange that I wouldn't have put Lindbergh, and I know he was a big proponent of starting the Air Force and a lot of those things, and he was always a consultant.
The Luftwaffe?
Yeah, no, that's the wrong side.
Not for him. What? I'm not making this stuff up.
Okay, McCarthy.
I'm not making this stuff up. Charles Lindbergh was a big fan of the National Socialist Party. This is not news.
You got against Lindbergh?
The guy was not he was a bad man. He was a great flyer, but his politics were not American.
Dude, what do you got against you? Conspiracy theory?
This is not a conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy.
That Charles Lindbergh was supporting Nazi Germany during the war?
He was not supporting them at all.
Oh, we got some digging to do here, my brother.
You're gonna have to prove this.
Okay.
This is up there with your Hoffman. This is up there with your Hoffman statement.
Hold on.
We have a topic for next week.
I have a quote for you from his Wikipedia page.
Mm-hmm.
Lindbergh had planned to move to Berlin for the winter of 1938 to 1939.
And he didn't.
He had provisionally found a home in the Guyanese, but after Nazi friends discouraged him from leasing it because it had been formerly owned by Jews, it was recommended he contacted Albert Speer, who said he would build the Lindbergh's house in anywhere they wanted.
But he didn't move there.
Yeah, I mean, he still...
He didn't move there.
Thank you, Blake.
The war started in 39.
I'm getting a little vindication here, and I will dig deeper for you.
The war started in 39. He did not move to Germany.
Yeah, but he was working in support of them here in America.
Okay.
All right.
I got another photo for you then.
All right, what you got? I can't tell what it is.
General Marshal Goring presents Colonel Lindbergh with a medal on behalf of
What year was that?
October 1938.
That guy?
That's 38. After 39, after the war broke out, he was like, no.
Hey,
I don't know that.
when did Adolf Hitler write Mein Kampf?
In
Mein
the
Kampf didn't come
was
out
in the
until he
20s or
was
the
chancellor.
30s? Yeah.
He wrote that in prison after World War One.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
All right. Look, we may have a topic for next week. Lindbergh, Nazi or not?
Hoffman, innocent or not?
Exactly. We can go both of them.
Which celebrities are Nazis?
And if they do that on Saturday Night Live, we want royalties.
Good thing our algorithms were already thrown off.
Threads are the best.
Okay. I want to talk about the greatest non-disclosure agreement ever.
Not
Ever.
Greatest NDA of all time.
Ever.
They involved Donald Trump.
All right.
No. Genghis Khan.
Okay.
Genghis Khan, who nobody knows what he looked like.
Khan Dynasty.
And strangely enough, the guy died in 1227. It wasn't even like, gajillion years ago.
There's no Polaroids at that time.
No, not at all. But when Genghis Khan passed away, he had left instructions. And he was buried in a secret location. Mm-hmm. And anybody who viewed his funeral procession was killed. If they witnessed his funeral procession, they were killed. And then...
Did they give a disclosure like, hey, don't
look?
Don't look.
I don't think so. And the people that...
Like the whole peeping Tom thing?
Yeah,
okay.
No. And the people that dug his grave were killed by the soldiers. And then the soldiers committed suicide. Mm-hmm. So nobody theoretically knew where it was. Then there's other stories that go that to hide the burial ground, they had 10,000 horses. This is somewhere in Mongolia.
Okay.
10,000 horses run roughshod over that for days to cover any trace of where the burial may have been.
Okay.
Then there's another theory that goes they diverted a river over it to completely cover it to prevent any grave robbers or any desecration of his burial site. So if you knew where Genghis Khan's buried, man,
I heard
you
he
had
was
a
a
tough
Nazi
time.
sympathizer too.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was way ahead of his time.
Someone asked me what you thought of Joseph Kennedy. Bobby asked that question. Ask Lenny about what you thought of Joseph.
Daddy Kennedy?
Yeah. What do you think of Joseph Kennedy? Was it?
Made a lot of money on a lot of whiskey. I'll say that. He was, he was not a good guy. He was moved his kids into positions. Mm-hmm. John became president because the other kid got killed.
Yeah.
His older son got killed in the war.
Yeah, and everybody thought, well, John, the thing that people don't realize about JFK is he was a sickly kid the whole time. He had back issues. He had so many different issues and stuff like that. And he was a sickly kid. So his dad really didn't have a whole lot of respect for him. It was Joseph Jr., right? Was his older brother?
Yes.
So it was his older brother, and that's who he was really positioning.
Exactly, right. Yeah.
And then when
I think he was killed. I think he was killed in the war in a plane.
Yeah.
Was he a pilot?
Yeah,
possibly?
I think it was pilot.
Yeah.
But JFK was a PT.
Right, exactly. PT 109.
And they even said there was a whole. What's a conspiracy about that one? You know the conspiracy about this one.
What? He didn't swim with the coconut tied to his teeth?
Yeah. No, he did actually, because he was a very good swimmer.
Right.
He did actually drag.
One of his sailors,
one of his people with him.
Right. And they carved a
coconut
and gave it to a native and said, "Bring this to somebody who could read this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's how they were saved.
Yeah.
Very fortunate because they were in enemy territory in enemy island.
Yeah.
But PT 109 was kind of the hero, and Joseph is the one who kind of guided that story.
Made that story bigger than it could have been?
Yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of heroes that came out of the Pacific in World War II.
Instead of him being in the wrong place where he wasn't supposed to be as a PT boat,
right.
and getting hit by a was it a destroyer?
They got ran over by a Japanese ship. Yeah,
yeah. So
broke it in two because those are wood-hulled ships.
yeah,
those are
they were quick.
plywood. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they were quick and they did it. But Joseph Kennedy kind of manipulated that whole thing.
Yeah, he was a finagler. Wasn't he the ambassador to England for a while, Joseph Kennedy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and didn't he make a tremendous amount of money? I don't know if it was on selling whiskey to the British or
he lost the job as I'm trying to think of how he lost the job as ambassador, and it had something to do with World War II.
Okay.
So I think he was really trying to stay out of World War II or something.
Okay, he was an isolationist.
He was a businessman.
Right. I don't think he was a Nazi sympathizer.
No, he wasn't a Nazi
Bobby?
sympathizer.
No?
I was throwing that out there. Yeah. But he did try and create a passive solution with he had meetings with Hitler.
Okay.
And he was trying to come up with a passive solution to where it was at. And that's when he got called back by FDR.
Right. A lot of people were looking for non-alignment at that point in time because, look at the loss America took. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if you look at wars, the winners of the wars don't do as well as the neutral countries. Okay? The losers of the war do the worst.
Yeah.
The winners of the war do the second worst. The neutral countries do the best economically. So Switzerland is brilliant. They stay out of the war. They're always good. Both sides are okay. They still have trade with both, and they do the best business. Country like India, stay out of a lot of wars. Don't really. They do very well in trade, and they benefit from that.
Right.
So Joseph Kennedy, in my opinion, realized that we're better off financially.
Right.
His money is safer if we're neutral. Right. Because at the beginning of World War II, we didn't know who was going to win, and it looked like Germany was going to dominate.
They were cruising for a while, for sure.
And if it wasn't for some very big personal flaws, and if they'd have stuck to the mission, we could all be speaking German right now.
Right. But, it certainly jump-started American manufacturing to a steroid degree. I mean, they were turning out planes every 25 minutes, give or take. Mm-hmm. So it was really, that was American exceptionalism. It truly was at the time, between the manufacturing and how women became, the dominating people in the factories.
Yes.
Because the men were out there, unfortunately, sacrificing their lives for democracy and world peace.
Yeah. What was the Riveter?
Rosie
the Riveter. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. All right. Who you got over there? What's the...
how about Richard III?
Richard III.
Yeah.
Okay.
Found him in a parking lot.
King Richard?
King Richard III.
Okay.
Who nobody really liked, but he wasn't such a bad guy when it came right down to it, except for his hunchback.
Yeah.
He died in 1485 after the Battle of Bosworth.
Okay.
And
Brian Bosworth?
I was going to go there.
He lost that battle to Bo.
I was going to go there, man, but poor Bosworth. Bad haircut. Well, actually, it was a pretty good haircut.
It worked for him.
But that was a career that never made it.
Yeah.
He was scary for a couple of years. The guy was,
he was scary in
for
college,
a couple of years.
but his pro career was
Seattle.
never really took off.
Yeah.
But, he owned the rights to the shirts, I Hate Bosworth.
Really?
I Hate Boz.
Smart man.
He made money off his own hatred. Good move.
That's bright.
Yep.
But Richard III died in 1485 after the Battle of Bosworth. He was the last of the, I'll probably mispronounce it, but it was the Plantagenet. He was the last Plantagenet king, as opposed to the Tudors or the Windsors. And they buried him where he was. And
they buried him in the street?
Well, they kind of built over him.
Oh, okay.
He ended up. Well, they buried him in the graveyard of a Greyfriars church. The Greyfriars were a monastic set in England, and they had a church and a burial ground, and they buried him there. And eventually, that church went still there, but they built a parking lot for the Common Council of Leicester in England. Not easy for me to say, but I'll try it again.
Listerine. Got it.
Exactly. And there was this woman Philippa Langley, who was, an amateur archaeologist and sort of her spidey sensitivity, and she knew he was buried around there someplace. And she kept digging and looking and digging, and they found him buried under asphalt.
King Richard.
King Richard III. He was buried under a parking lot.
Wow.
They did an excavation. They did, and it took a while because he had no offspring. He had no progeny, or as they say, no issue. When you look on Wikipedia for people, the issue, I don't know what the issue was. You got kids. And by the way, just as a passing note, I saw a show the other day about the madness of King George. There was a documentary on crazy King George III. Guy had 15 freaking kids.
That'd drive anybody nuts.
I'm telling you. Well, they thought it actually was bipolar. He was bipolar.
Okay.
They kind of after the fact, and they were institutionalizing him on and off in private. But it was very difficult to prove that these were his remains because he had no direct lineage. But out of this, they found a couple people and they did the DNA test him and realized this was him, scoliosis or hunchback and all. And out of this, it turns out Benjamin Cumberbatch.
Yes.
He's King Richard's third cousin.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And the DNA thing.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
But they dug him up, and now they reinterred him. I mean, it was like
they turned him.
No, reinterred.
Oh, they reinterred.
Yes, exactly. They put him back in the
I don't think they should turd anybody.
Well, unless you're a tick.
Yeah.
Tick on a turd.
Tick on a turd.
There you go.
So, hey, Blake. Is it time for us to do some sponsors? I saw you kind of waving at us a little bit.
I believe so. And maybe you should lead off with the greatest real estate agent of all time in St. Augustine.
Oh, we're going with Coquina Coast Realty to lead off. All right, Coquina Coast Realty, commercial, residential. They can help with development. Also leads right into Walking Man Consultant. Give us a call at 904-669-7901. I can even move houses.
As you've proven.
All right, St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits. St. Augustine Distillery named #1 tasting tour in the entire country. There was a hiccup. You heard? Did you hear that?
I did.
It's right there. In the entire country, just amazing bourbons, great liquors. They do an incredible job over there. People that are a part of our community, always a part of our community. Citygate Spirits, their sister company. Different little flavors they got going on over there.
Great flavors.
Wonderful place. If you have friends that like to sip a little bit, take them over there. They get to try out a lot of different things, the different moonshines and the different spirits. But just a fun little afternoon. If you're going to day drink, go to City Gates.
Right. It makes the walk down St. George Street just that much more zippy.
The right level. And if you're walking down St. George Street, kind of stumble over to the bayfront, you'll end up at Meehan's Irish Pub. They have 3 bars in one. They have the Johnny's Oyster Bar upstairs. They have the pub downstairs in the backyard. Which
Tiki
they have,
bar, yeah.
They have live music on the weekends. Wonderful people. Reggie, appreciate you guys and what you do in the community. Bear Kresge and Associates, they've been around a little bit. They take care of all my taxes. Also, always active in the community. Give Billy Bear a call over there. They'll help you out if you're starting a new business, get you going. If you run into any problems with your taxes, they're the guys to call.
Just send a $10 check to somebody else.
Yeah, that one I didn't like. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. They have over 800 original artifacts. We talked about flags last week. They have one of the original Jolly Rogers.
Yeah.
So you're going to see something new every time you go there. Go over there and let them know you heard it on Bollox. All right, Kaiser's Deli and Market. I hear this place is pretty good, but if you go there, make sure you try the Bollox.
And now, the pastrami Bollox.
The pastrami Bollox. So,
you don't even need to take the ham off it. You can leave the ham and just add the pastrami.
Yeah.
I might take the bacon off.
Yeah, the bacon might need.
I would swap the pastrami for the bacon.
Yeah, that sounds like a good move. Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that, but I do like the bacon.
That's true. You can just get lost in the pastrami.
But Kaiser's Deli and Market, if you go to the St. Augustine Record website, they're doing best of. Make sure you're voting for Kaiser's. All right, last but not least, the best miniature golf in town is Anastasia Miniature Golf.
Oh, yeah.
Right there on Anastasia Boulevard, just past the Holiday Inn Express, across the street from Gypsy Cab. They do an amazing job over there. Just recarpeted. They have a deck for parties if you want to do a private party, a birthday party, anything like that.
On-site parking.
Yep. On-site parking.
Very
Great
key,
parking.
very key.
And they have beer and wine
Yep.
and soft serve and just wonderful people. Anastasia Miniature Golf.
And when I say I'm taking my niece and nephew, they're 23 and 25.
Yeah. So, all right. So, one of the tombs that I looked up, we talked about a dead ringer, and it's in Havana, Cuba.
This was interesting.
All right. And it is Donna Amelia Gore de la Hoz. And it's a grave site of a 24-year-old woman. And Blake, were you able to pull up that grave site and the monument?
Okay, can you spell the name again?
It is Donna Amelia, and it's D-O-N with the little squiggly up top.
Tilde.
A. What is it? Tilde?
Tilde, I believe.
Is that a tilde? That's
think
not a
so.
tilde. I thought a tilde was this one.
No, which is that?
All right. Is that a tilde?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amelia Gore de la Hoz. But the story is more important than the actual picture. So it's a gravesite of a 24-year-old woman who died with her infant son during childbirth. All right. And it's become the most revered site in Havana's cemetery, de Cristobal Colon cemetery. And the story behind it, the legend goes she was buried with the baby at her feet. So in the coffin, the baby, and it happened. A lot of people died during a lot of women died during childbirth at that time. And then years later, her grieving husband had the tomb opened to discover the baby was now in her arms. And they have a statue there. Blake's got it pulled up right there. You see it?
Wow.
All right. So
That's a busy cemetery, too. Holy cow.
you know what this is telling me, that she probably went into a coma because of some blood loss, or like and then she recovered and then figured out her baby was down, and she just grabbed her baby and held her baby and died.
Oof. Was the baby dead, or was the baby... That's the question.
We don't know.
Okay.
I assume the baby was dead, but it's actually...
Boy, that would have sucked if
it's
not.
actually a tourist attraction and about motherhood in Havana.
I'm surprised it's not a pilgrimage site.
Yeah. Well, it's in Cuba, so it's a hard walk.
Well, yeah. That's an interesting segue to Alexander the Great, who died in 323 BC. He was a mere 32 years old after he conquered all of the known world.
All of the
Known world at the time.
Okay.
Yep. Everything from Eurasia to Asia to partially into Europe, into Africa. I mean, the guy was, these, and I think we had talked about this in a couple other episodes, but, when these guys went on these campaigns, they left home. They were gone for 10, 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great left home and never came home.
Yeah.
So he dies in 323 BC. He's 32 years old. He's conquered the known world, and they go to bury him. But he passed out when he died, and there's some stories about the fact that he was challenged to drink an entire bowl of punch, which was, I'm sure, a liquor of some nature.
Yeah.
He drinks this.
Some type of fermented.
He goes into whether it was convulsions or whatever, and apparently his respiration slows to the point where the people think he's dead. Well, there was also some conjecture, and where this came from again, this was 323 BC, so I don't think there were detailed notes or anything to it, but there was some conjecture that he died of Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is an autoimmune disease, and he went into a coma.
Okay.
And there's speculation that he was actually buried alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's what the last story was. Yeah.
Well, that's why I said it was a nice segue.
Yeah.
So they put him into a gold sarcophagus, and they buried him, and then they moved him to, as apropos as it is, Alexandria in Egypt.
Okay.
And they bury him there. And then there's some question about whether or not it eventually get moved. But while he was in Alexandria, talking about a pilgrimage site, Caesar, Pompey, all make trips to go see Alexander the Great's tomb. Apparently, Caligula went and did a little grave robbing and took Alexander's breastplate from the tomb and stole his breastplate because Caligula was a little bit of a dick.
Yeah, no. Well, he was a little. He might have been mentally
Oh, I think
not
so.
there. So.
Well, but he did have a
Alexander-
lovely relationship with his horse.
All right, yeah, that was kind of strange. So, and I want to try and get this correct, and if you know the story. So, Plato taught Socrates.
Right.
Socrates taught Aristotle. Aristotle taught Alexander the Great.
He was
Is that
educated.
the right order?
I get them Greeks mixed up, so I'm not going to speak to it unless I check.
Blake,
because
if you can fact check that, because it was kind of
I always
interesting.
forget-
They overlapped,
I
and
forget
they
who came first.
But I think it was Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and then Alexander the Great.
Let's see. Sorry.
Yeah. See, I'm not sure which way they go.
And I can
Those-
say it with more confidence and be more believable.
All right.
Well, that's it. If you
Alright.
speak with
Yeah.
confidence, people
Yeah.
believe you. Even
Alright,
though you
the
don't know what
order
you're talking
is-
about.
Blake's got it.
Socrates.
Socrates.
His student and follower was Plato.
Right, that's
I
what,
mixed
see,
those
that's
two
what I
up.
thought. I thought
His-
Socrates. You're right.
His disciple was Aristotle.
Right.
Okay.
And the student was King of Macedonia, Alexander the Great.
Right. Because
Okay.
I think Plato did was Plato the Academy?
So it was Socrates, Plato.
Plato.
Okay, so I mixed up the first two.
Okay. So if we
on
remember
trivia,
Spa.
on trivia,
Remember Spa.
yeah.
Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
Okay,
I like that.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of mnemonics.
that works for me. I will
Okay.
never forget that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Woo! Jeopardy. Bring it on.
So how do you remember the Great Lakes?
Holmes.
Holmes.
Yeah.
Blake, do you know that one?
Which one?
The Great Lakes. All the Great Lakes.
Yes.
How do you remember them?
The mnemonic is Holmes.
Holmes.
Homes.
Oh.
Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and
Superior. So that's how I remember the Great Lakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Spa.
Sure. Yeah, Spa.
Okay.
I'm liking that
So
because I always
Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
right because I can
and
never
then-
remember which order they go in.
Yeah.
So now I do.
No,
That's great.
I had the first two mixed up.
The things you learn on Bollox.
Thank you,
the
Blake.
things I
for
learn
that-
on Bollox.
That quick look up.
Okay. So there is some conjecture that his tomb may or may not have been moved from Alexandria to Venice, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Greeks, which makes a little more sense to me, or Egypt, which is where he started. But they have no idea where it is now. People keep looking for it and they can't find it.
Yeah. So, so from that you were talking about a very posh tomb. The one I saw the most
Golden
posh,
sarcophagus.
most posh was Sir Isaac.
You like
Newton.
Isaac, yeah.
Sir Isaac Newton. Blake, can you have that one queued up?
Which one? The
Sir Isaac Newton.
Ike.
Yes, sir.
Ike and the Apple.
Let's see.
Not to be confused with Ike and Tina.
No. And it's in Westminster Abbey. Sir Isaac Newton. And to me, it's probably the most beautiful monument that I've seen
It's
inside of Westminster Abbey. So, and Blake's working on it right now.
You know, it's kind of interesting because some of those churches, like there's, I want to say it's Santa Croce in Florence, but you know, you go to these churches and it's like a who's who of dead people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's Dante and it's there's other people and then all of a sudden you get a little disappointed because there's some mundane individual, but in Westminster Abbey you've got all these guys. I forget who else is there, but there's a couple other scientists there and.
Blake, do you have that? You brought up like his epitaph there, but can you zoom out of that where that epitaph is
It's very ornate.
is super ornate, very gold and just off the charts crazy.
Yeah, it's
one?
yeah.
Yep, that is a portion of it. But if you even zoom out even further, you can see the gold. That is the beautiful statue that's within it, and you see the epitaph underneath.
Or us.
All right.
He was cruising through there.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, look at that.
That's incredible. I
It's-
mean, that's
it's like its
that's
whole little,
that's more beautiful. Like if you've been to the Vatican, you see some of the most ridiculous things in the world. But that one to me is the most ornate tomb I've ever seen.
And it almost looked like there's like a little chapel in there too. It looked like you could go into it.
All right. We only have one more, and I wanted to show this one because to me it shocked me. about how
JWB?
grandiose it is.
Yeah.
And it's John Wilkes Booth. So, Blake, can you show the John Wilkes Booth? It's an obelisk.
Right.
And it's absolutely, here's the guy who is the number one criminal of all time in American history. All right? You can say what you want about,
Lindbergh? Oh, no.
Yeah, Lindbergh.
I'm looking him up, by the way. We'll have a conversation. That could be next week's topic.
Yeah.
Lindbergh, Nazi or not?
Yeah.
Discuss.
So, so to me, it is almost ridiculous. Like, I want to hide people like this
Yeah.
and not
Well-
honor people like this.
Well, that's why Bin Laden, buried at sea on unmarked grave. That's why they put people in unmarked
Yeah.
graves. They bury them at sea. They hide them. They cut them up and put them in different places.
All right, and one of the other things while Blake's pulling that up. All right, pull out so you can actually see it. And I don't know if you know this. Like, St. Augustine's been here since 1565. But the first marked grave isn't until like the 1790s. Everything else was unmarked.
Would that be back at the Talamato Cemetery?
Yeah, the first unmarked one at Talamato is at 1791.
Yeah.
So
Right next to the
pretty
exploding
wild.
bishop.
Everything else, there it is, right there. Look how grandiose that is.
Yeah, but
And look at the ground around it. Look at the rest of the tombstones in that cemetery.
yeah, but we'll say though. But going back to the original photo, did you notice anything on it?
No, I didn't see it. What was on there?
So look closely.
Under the two O's?
That's a $5 bill and a penny, whose face is on it.
There you go.
Oh wow!
See, but now was this specifically John Wilkes Booth, or was this the Booth family?
It was a Booth family,
Right, okay.
but it actually is where he is buried.
Right.
He's buried with his brother, and his brother was probably
Much more prominent.
His brother
Well,
was
is a better actor.
His
Right.
brother was the number one actor
Right.
in the entire
Right.
country at the time.
Right.
So he was the Tom Hanks of acting, and I'll put it in this terms. John Wilkes Booth was like Ron Howard's brother.
Clint?
Yeah, Clint. Still made a career out of it,
Sure.
but he was that guy.
Right.
He,
And then-
he was
yeah.
somewhat famous.
Well, there's a
But
sibling
his
rivalry
brother,
for sure.
His brother was
Yep.
the number one guy.
Yeah. Edwin.
Yeah. But you know what? That's the end of our show, man. We're 2 minutes over.
Bummer.
Yeah.
All right.
We ran out of time again. You only got through 90.
But I hit the
9%.
highlights. I
Yep.
hit the highlights. I got the big ones. I didn't do Attila of the Hun.
Yep. Well, I want to say thank you to you guys. If you would, please hit that share button. Tell people about Bollox. I think we have a fun show.
Support
we have
our
a good,
sponsors.
We have a good time doing it.
Very much.
Our sponsors
Very
are
much.
amazing. We appreciate you guys keeping us on the air. And go to our YouTube page. I think everything, if you missed some episodes, I think Blake's got our YouTube page all caught up to date now. And just let people know about us. We appreciate you guys. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents, and we'll see you next week.
Night, Bobby. Night, Barbara Jean.